We saw Deebo get into it with Tabor Pepper, the long snapper. What are your thoughts about Jake Moody? Because this looks like a consistent problem in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Before the injury, I think he was 14 or 15. Looked pretty good. Looked like he was putting away all the doubt that people had, all the concerns. But then you come back from the injury after the two kickers that replaced you pretty much were flawless. On PATs and field goals, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much made every kick. And then you come back in a game like this, and people, have some sympathy for you. You miss one kick, you're like, hey, the rust. Then you miss two kicks, you're like, all right now. And then the third kick, you start to have a lot of questions, and you start to see the frustration from both players and fans. And when Deebo Samuel goes up to him and says, lock in, and apparently that's what he said. That's what Tabor Pepper said he said. You don't defend him from that. You don't get to defend him from accountability from the team. When if I give up a touchdown pass and one of my fellow teammates come on like, hey, come on now, lock in now. Somebody's not going to come in and save me. Like, you got to be tough. This is the National Football League. You make mistakes, you are held accountable, just like everybody else. It does not mean because I'm a specialist and they're a different case and this, that, and the third. No, there's accountability. Do your job. And that's what Deebo Samuel was coming to say. Like, this is a high-level football team. This is a team that's been to Super Bowls. There's a standard of play. And to miss 3 field goals after all the work that goes into those drives and to get the ball down the field, and these were long, long drives, and unfortunately the San Francisco 49ers are not converting at a high rate in the red zone this year, so they are settling for a lot more field goals than usual. You got to make the kicks. This game should not have been this close, and it's coming down to the final kick because of missed kicks. And so I'm totally with Deebo here. There are better ways to handle it, and I understand kind of what Tabor is doing, trying to defend his guy, but you cannot defend people from accountability. I don't care. Not in this game. You can defend from people going overboard or cursing him out or saying you suck or something like that. Then shield him from that. But if he's telling him to lock in, get out of his way and let him tell him. Let him look the man in his eye and tell him lock in, because that's the truth of what needs to happen here, and that's accountability from the locker room. There has to be. You don't get exempt from accountability because you're a kicker.
Well, you're not wrong. And this San Francisco 49er team has been knocking on the door of the Super Bowl since you were there, Richard. I mean, this window is slowly shrinking. And I think that frustration, what you see, with situations like Deebo, is because of that. He knows how important these games are. These are must-win games in a tight divisional race. I mean, we just saw Arizona knock the brakes out of the Jets. I mean, they are atop of this division right now. And then you got the Rams and obviously the Seattle Seahawks nipping at their heels as well. These games are crucial. Fortunately for them, they come away with the win.
Did you know that feeding your lawn regularly builds a stronger, more resilient lawn that naturally crowds out weeds? Scott's Turf Builder products provide year-round feeding with essential seasonal solutions for your lawn. Scott's has a subscription plan that makes caring for your lawn easier than ever. They put their expertise to work by analyzing the location, size, and condition of your lawn to create a custom plan for your yard. And they'll ship you the right product to apply at the perfect time. By answering only a few short questions about your lawn, Scott's experts will craft a program that's right for you and your yard. Visit scotts.com to learn more. Feed your lawn. Feed it.
Kyle Shanahan puts this to bed now. He says the sideline incident was blown out of proportion. Richard, where do you stand on the sideline incident?
Well, I stand with Deebo and I stand with Kyle Shanahan. Like, Deebo was going over there constructively. I'm a captain of this team. I get to speak to guys. If you're struggling, if somebody's struggling, now offense, defense, sometimes you don't talk to guys. You let their captain on their sides handle it. But it's special teams. So it's anybody, and I can go over there and say, and I know as a captain, I'm going over there to say, hey, we believe in you, but come on now. We need it. We got to get it together. And this is the NFL. I can do that. I can challenge my teammate to say, hey, we need more out of you. Lock in. Tabor was totally wrong. First off, you're a long snapper. You don't get to inject yourself in any conversations when a captain of the team is talking. I'm sorry, you don't. You have unless he's cursing or really like violently coming after your guy, then you grab him and say, hey, come on now. No need for that. But from what I've heard and what I understand about the situation, some words were said that shouldn't have been said. From a long snapper, you should not speak like that. You don't get, especially if nobody's coming at you. Nobody's sitting there saying a word to you. They're talking to two grown men are talking. This is not somebody talking to a child, somebody talking to somebody that has no power. Like, these are grown men. So if one grown man is a captain on the team and says, hey, I need you to lock in to another grown man, he doesn't need assistance in there. So I thought Tabor was wrong, and Kyle said it in a nice way. He said he thought he overreacted because he thought Deebo was saying something and he wasn't. I thought he was overreacting because you don't have those say so. You don't get to do that. Now, other positions, they play a lot of snaps. They get to say stuff. Deebo Samuel plays a lot of snaps, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm out there all the time busting my tail to try to help this team win the ball game. Not that you're not busting your tail, but you don't play enough snaps to speak to me. You do not play enough snaps to come at me in any kind of way, raise your voice in any kind of way. If I'm talking to somebody else and saying, hey, brother, we need more. I don't care if you say you got it. Clearly you don't got it. You missed 3 straight. So to tell me we got this, you don't got nothing. And you keep talking to me crazy, you won't have a job. So, like, that's the kind of stuff where people are like, well, in any other job, like, this ain't any other job. This not your, hey, in our handbook, you don't put your hands on. In football, I can run through another man's face. I can be as physical as I want to be. And it's a different kind of conversation. Sports in general. Like, you talk about great players, and you talked about Jordan fighting and beating up Steve Kerr in practice. But people are like, oh, well, that's just competitive nature. Do you think nowadays if you heard Jordan beat up somebody in this social media age, it would be blown up everywhere? You saw the Draymond Green stuff.
Yep.
Like, this is sports. It's very serious. So when somebody is making mistakes and costing your team, you can address it to that person, to their face. And I don't think Deebo was coming at him in a very angry or provocative or insightful way. I think he came to him and said, hey, lock in. And Tabor Pepper said he said the same thing. He might have said it a little bit more colorful than that, but still, he had no place speaking. You didn't need to be involved. And so that's why it escalated, because unnecessary ingredients were injected into the situation. And that's how I feel about it. I could not imagine if it was me, Mitchell. I could not imagine, because I would have said something to the kicker. I probably would have came over there and done my best to pat him on the back and said something. But if I'm sitting there talking to Jake Moody or the kicker and being like, man, come on, lock in. We're gonna need you. And somebody came and got in my face, Mitchell, there would have been some furniture moving. There would have been, it wouldn't have just been no mush. I would have been some furniture moving, and then we'd have had to talk about it after the game. And then might have been some more furniture moving, because I don't know who you think you are that you can talk to me. Like, in that way, I do too much. I put too much work in. You don't put enough work in for you to speak in this situation. So that's where I'm at now.